In this tutorial, we're going to follow the same structure using the polygon extrude tool and the insert edge loop tool to create a book that would be open. So I'm going to go to my top view. In my top view, I'll create polygon primitive cube, and I'll drag the thickness and length of the spine of the book, and I'll return to my perspective view and add the thickness. I'm going to go to the top view again. I'm going to split this using the insert edge loop tool. So in the top view, I'll click on my insert edge loop tool, and I'll put two edges in that will define the thickness of the book cover. I'm going to go to my perspective view now. I'll right click and choose face, select this face and that face. I'm going to click on the extrude tool, and I'm going to click on the little blue dial here to center it, and then I'll pull the face up. I'm going to add one more face by clicking on the polygon extrude tool or hitting G, and I'll pull that up. And next I'm going to extrude the covers as if the book were open. Now to do that, I'm going to select this outside face, and I'll shift select this one. And I'm going to hit G on the keyboard to get the extrude tool. Now if I leave this dial as is, and you can see now that the vertice configuration is off center, and that's fine because now if I pull on the Z axis, I can pull out both covers symmetrically at the same time. This is where you would introduce the scale of your book. It probably would rest on our table surface, so now I'm going to click on that little dial to center. I'm going to pull the covers down a little bit so that they rest on a surface. I'm going to return to the object mode. Now if I hit 3 on the keyboard, once again it's not quite what I want. So I'll hit 1 to return back to the geometry state. I'll get my edge loop tool, and as in the previous tutorial, I'll start to shore up the edges so that I get a bit of roundness when I hit 3, but I also maintain the integrity of the book cover. So we're almost there, so I'll hit 1 on the keyboard. I'll introduce a couple more edges, and then we'll make the pages for this. Alright, we've got the spine made. Now we're going to add some pages. Now there's a bunch of different ways to do this. I could introduce polygons, but I'm going to use a NURBS curve, and then I'm going to use Bevel Plus to give it the shape I want. I'm going to go to the front view where I'm looking straight on the spine. Now I could have gone in and customized the spine a little bit more. Maybe I'll do that before I actually create the pages for this. Let's pull that in. Now I'm ready to go ahead and make the page inserts. I'm going to hold down the space bar. I'm going to go to Create, CV Curve tool, and I'm going to set it for 2. And I'm going to start by drawing a side view of this. If I was looking at a bunch of pages arcing down and tapering off towards the edge of the book cover, I'm going to hit return. Now with that curve created, I'm going to close it. So I'm going to go to Curves, open, close, and I'm going to return to my perspective view so I can get a better idea of what I'm creating here. With the curve selected, I'm going to hold down the space bar, Surfaces, Bevel Plus. In this instance, I don't want any sort of a bevel width or depth. All I need is the distance of the extrude. I'm going to leave it at 25 because I know that once I create it, I can now scale it out to the proportions I need. Now that I have one made, I'm going to reflect it over using duplicate special so that I have two of them. I'm going to go to the front view, and I'm going to move the pivot to this point in the center of the book so that when I reflect it over, it goes into the position that I need it to. The x-axis is the axis on which I want to duplicate special and flip over a mirrored image. I'll hold down a space bar. I'm going to go to Edit, Duplicate Special, and I'm going to go to Edit Reset Settings, and down next to the word Scale from left to right, these boxes reflect the axes X, Y, and Z. In the x-axis, I'll click in front of the 1, put in a minus, hit return, and click on apply. And if I go to my perspective view now, I've got a book with open pages. Now if I want to add yet another level of detail, I might add a NURB surface floating above this so that it doesn't look so geometrically contained. I could also texture map this if I wanted to. I'm going to make the free floating page of the NURB surface just to add another level of realism. I'm going to go to my top view. In the top view, I'm going to go to Create NURBS Primitive Plane. And I'm going to click and drag a plane that's roughly the same proportions as the pages I've created with the extrude surface. I'm going to go to my perspective view and I'll select that geometry that I just made, if I can get that out. There we go. I'll put a lid up where I can kind of edit this a little bit easier. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to Make NURBS Plane under Inputs, and I'm going to bump up the patches. Now, probably I'll go in, let's say, I've put 6 that would give me the opportunity to bend the page the way a page would bend there. And maybe with patches I'll make 3. This is all subjective. You'll start to develop your own way of dealing with this once you've kind of played around with it. Now my objective is to bend this so it kind of reflects the contour of that block that we created to imply pages. I'll go into my side view and I'll start by right clicking and choosing Control Vertex, and I'll grab the series through and I'll pull that down. Now my objective is just to edit this so it looks a little bit more naturalistic, and I'm going series by series of these vertices. And if I wanted to, I could use my left or right arrow to move back and forth through the series of vertices. If I wanted to, I could be on the keyboard and I could use the soft select. If I'm going to do that, I'll probably go into the attributes for soft select, and I think I'll reduce the number so I have a little bit more control over the influence. And you can see now that pretty quickly you can go in and create a page. I would probably refine down in here, but that's something that would come with going back and working the area a bit more. And there's an open book.